What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the end of August. Here we go, getting ready to start September. I hope the month closed well for you. I want to talk about something. Producer, you might want to close your ears on this one. It's going to be a sports analogy.
I knew it.
It's going to be a sports analogy. So, look, I think a lot of people talk about training, sales training, word tracks, how to overcome objections, blah, 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 road to the sale, etc. But does anyone ever really talk about the mental side of sales? Frankly, the mental side of being in business in general, the mental side of entrepreneurship. It's a huge thing, and I don't think enough people really pay attention to it. So my example, very quickly, is that recently White Sox pitcher Lucas Giolito threw a no-hitter for the first time in his major league career. This is someone who 2 years ago was statistically the worst pitcher in baseball. Not like, statistically the worst pitcher in baseball. Last year he was an all-star, top of his staff, and now this year he's taking on that plus some, throwing his first no-hitter. And what he'll tell you is that the reason he's in the place to do it is not because, yes, he did change his arm slot. I won't bore you with all the details he made to his mechanics, but he'll tell you the biggest change he made was between his ears. And to me, I think it's the most undervalued, underrated part of selling anything, being in competition, is how do you handle the mental side? Right now, sports like hockey and basketball are locked in bubbles. You read articles all the time about these guys who are starting to deal with depression and anxiety because the mental side is the struggle when you're locked in somewhere trying to get through your season, etc. in these new environments. So back to the baseball side of things. He throws a no-hitter, and when he's done, they ask him basically, what was going through your head? How did you do it? And the way he did it was he focused pitch by pitch, not hitter by hitter, pitch by pitch. He was only one walk away from a perfect game, which means no walks, no hits is a perfect game. He gave up the one walk. But again, the mental side of the game, this is someone who 3 years ago would come on the mound, have a bad inning, and it would ruin his entire game. It would be over. It would be done with. Now, all the way to the basically top of the pitching mountain, if you will, outside of winning a World Series, is having that no-hitter perfect game. So I'm really intrigued to know how many of you are working on the mental side. Because people talk about overcoming objections. Does anyone talk to you about what to do with rejection? When the sale went somewhere else. When the boss screamed at you and told you to do something. Are we dealing with any of the mental side of our business? Especially in automotive. It's dog eat dog in automotive, man. And so if you're not mentally prepared for your day to take it on and understand that there will be ups and downs, if you're not kind of dialing into the emotion of it all, right? So when I was selling cars, the mental side is something that I learned early on because, let's face it, I'm a kid who's been in therapy his whole life for one reason or another. So I've always understood the value of it, okay? And to me, that's what this is. Sports psychologists now are like on every staff in every sport. 5 to 7 years ago, it was just weird to have the head guy around, okay? So now it's a thing, and it needs to be a thing. So when you're a sales professional, and for all of the wonderful sales trainers out there, and there are many of you, I ask you, how many of you are focused on training the mental side? How many of you yourselves have the mental side of sales and, again, being in business dialed in? It can be very difficult. I know when we started CarBiz, my struggles were on the mental side. It was, how do I make sure that I keep my head in the game so that even if I have an off day, even if I don't close a deal, we can still continue to move forward. Now, I'm lucky to have a perfect support system in my, my best friend in my house daily so that I can kind of get all that shit out of my head. But at the end of the day, what are you doing to address the mental side of your activities? So, kind of the last part that I'll touch on with this is that when I talk about being able to be mentally fit, one of the first things I ever learned from a mentor was I came into work, shitty attitude, came in. He literally saw it right when I walked through the door, turned me around, took me outside, took me to the curb of the retail establishment. This is back when I was slinging men's suits. Came to me and said, Sean, right now I'm going to need you to leave everything that happened on the other side of this curb over there, and I'm going to need you to pick up a clean mind when you walk into work. And that was really what changed it for me. And from there on out, even if I was having bad days, the worst thing was going on, if I was going to go to work. Now, if I was in a really bad mental state, I just take a sick day. I'll be honest with you. Why would I waste other people's time? That doesn't happen very often in my life, ever. But there were those times, because after I learned that lesson, what was the point of being there? People say, oh, tough it out, tough it out. No. Wrong attitude. Deal with the mental side. Having to think and be thoughtful about your next step isn't a bad thing. It isn't something to be frowned at. If you need to take a mental day, take one, but be sure that you take it. Make sure that you dial it in, because the mental aspect of what we do is the most important thing. So as you go through your day, think about how you're able to, and I get it's difficult to leave home and work, in separate places when they're the same place for a lot of you. It's been this way for my household for quite some time, but I get it can be difficult. You still need to take your time. Again, those of you who watch the show know I'm in therapy once a month, whether it's business, personal, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, because we need to keep the brain tight. We need to keep it always conversing. That doesn't mean always learning. It means understanding how the mental side of what we do plays into all of what we do in life. Okay? So, quick, easy. Wasn't that bad on the sports analogy, was it? Meh. No, it was me. But the point is still there. If you guys really want to learn about him, go out and read about him. Lucas Giolito. Otherwise, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you again next week.